Yo YouTube, sup with y'all today? Today people, today we've got ourselves another top 5. This time, it's the top 5 least responsible PvE classes in Warmane's Wrath of the Lich King server. The word responsibility brings a lot of dread to some people, including myself depending on the situation of course. But how do you define it in a World of Warcraft raid? I would say that doing misdirections and tricks of the trade is a perfect example of a responsibility. Sure, the tank is the one tanking, but without proper threat redirection, we've got ourselves a problem on our hands. The problem being that the raid is dead. So in short, responsibility is anything that the raid will expect of you. Some raid leaders might take it too far, this is often what happens in pugs, but in my opinion the responsibilities this list refers to are often common knowledge and serve as the backbone of what we know as PvE.
Number 5.
Enhancement and Elemental Shamans. Mass Confusion! Wasn't this classed on your hardest to playlist? Where is the continuity? It's there, I promise you. You just need to squint at the title to see that it's about responsibilities, such as Retribution Paladins using Hand of Freedom on the consumption debuff inside of Ruby Sanctum Heroic 25, or using your Hand of Salvation as a Retribution Paladin to lower someone's aggro on any boss, or using Aura Mastery to reduce the damage the raid takes as a Retribution Paladin, or using Lay on Hands to save someone's life as a Retribution Paladin. Damn! Retribution Paladins surely have a lot to do, don't they? Unlike Shamans. Shamans, you see, and as you might well know, are often required in the raid for one thing, and that one thing alone is heroism. Aside from that though, you have some totems, sure, and a few of those totems are genuinely necessity. And every 25 man raid should definitely have at least one shaman for all the things they do provide. There's actually a little trick you can do with the Earth Elemental totem. If you place it right before the Lich King uses Soul Reaper, the Earth Elemental will eat it and instantly die. But as far as the responsibilities go though, well, there's the heroism and the totems as we've discussed. But beyond that, there's not much more they are obligated to provide to the raid. Number 4. Warlocks. But RB Demonology Warlock Piet! Yeah, no shit Sherlock. A great talent, absolutely mandatory for any raid that wants their casters to do a lot of damage. But come on, it's a pet auto-attacking. Besides the Warlock pet providing the raid with spell power, Warlocks also give the +5 spell crit debuff. But it's on their main spell Shadow Bolt, and this only becomes a slight issue when you are in an execution phase. Something has to be said about the Health Stone and the Soul Stone though. Anyone, but especially a tank, can benefit greatly from a Health Stone. And speaking of tanks, they are commonly the ones in most mortal danger at any time in a Lich King attempt. A Soul Stone on a tank can make for a good backup tool if all the battle reses are used or if you don't have a lot of druids. There have been times where I was in a raid and we got into the nitty gritty at the end of a Lich King attempt, and having a Soul Stone on a tank on those kind of times can be a massive relief mentally. A note about this entry though, I am including all 3 specs of Warlocks in here, since all of the specs will be giving some form of unique buff. Affliction gives the Felhound intellect, Demonology of course gives the beloved spell power buff, and the lesser known and played Destruction Warlock gives the same mana replenishment buff as Retribution Paladins and Shadow Priests. As for CC, they can help with banishing elementals, fear and terror humanoids. Quite useful for Lady Death Whisper 25 Heroic, or any ad pool for that matter. All 3 specs have a very easy time applying these responsibilities to the raid though, and therefore it is number 4. Number 3. It's the Dead Knights. I was thinking about what to write down for Dead Knights and I went over Blood, Frost and Unholy. Then I realized that they are all kind of the same utility wise. That is that every spec has one unique buff respectively, with Frost buff being attainable for tanks because dancing rune weapons is not that great for a DK tank. Blood of course gives Hysteria and the 10% attack power buff, Frost gives the 20% melee attack haste, and Unholy Decays give the same debuff as Boomies, but for them it can be applied in an AoE situation more easily. I'm talking of course about the 13% spell damage increase Ebon Plaguebringer. For CC they can get quite a lot if they are unholy, if not they will always have their Chains of Ice. A great tool especially for enraged, shambling horrors. But sadly it does not affect the Valkyrs anymore. Something they don't share with any of the other entries on this list however is their innate ability to be tanky as hell. On any spec at any times, if you pop all your CDs, there is a big chance that you can survive a few hits from anything. I even had my Unholy Decays off tank on the little lads in the outside realm of RS25 Heroic. They are that capable. So considering every talent specialization all gives the same amount of responsibility to the DK, which is just either exist or do your bare minimum rotation, I had to give this spot up to all of the DK classes. The same rule applies here as the Warlocks really. It's just so damn easy to fulfill the responsibilities of this class. I'd just not be me if I would ignore the chance to talk about Ray's ally. So overlooked. But when shit has hit the fan and you need that extra 20k damage to kill a boss, it's probably not gonna be enough, but it is still a lot of fun to use, and whenever someone dies in a raid, they will likely feel bad about it. And then having a spell as well, useless, but so much fun at the same time, can really help swing their mood back around to positive and fun, and God knows Warmain could use more of that. Fury Warrior. Fury Warrior number 2. Fury Warriors are often called the easiest class in the game, because they don't offer any utility. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think they have a lot they can use but is often forgotten about. Take Intervene for example, an ability that reduces the affected target's aggro by 10% instantly. Even Hand of Salvation doesn't work instantly, and Intervene having 1/4 the cooldown, it's technically 100% better than Hand of Salvation if used on cooldown. But it's almost never used, it blows the mind. They also compact with a few handy shouts. Commanding Shout if there is no Imp, or Battle Shout if there is no Improved Blessing of Might. You can spec into Piercing Howl in the Fury tree, and every warrior will learn Demoralizing Roar. Even Intimidating Shout can be situationally very useful. All of that and the Sunder Armor reducing 20% of the boss's armor at 5 stacks. Come on warriors, you can do it faster. They are equipped with some of the more niche and forgotten utility in the game. That's not to say they aren't easy though, or if you're dealing 20k damage per second that you should swap your stance and intervene some random target. But I am saying that you could use them if the situation calls for it, or if there's some downtime in a fight. Example given the Lich King transition phase. M is for magic, A is for arcane, G is for generous, E is for effective damage, that is what a mage is all about. As a mage, you will only ever have one job and one job alone. That job is to DPS as hard as you can. Being the undisputed best DPS class in this expansion, maybe a list for another time, I don't know, with almost every other class bringing buffs to the raid that the mage can benefit from. Up to the point where you can and you should be undercapped with hit rating, and rely on your Boomy and Shadow Priest to give you the hit rating. Of course, if you are Alliance, you do get the Draenei buff, so you can invest even more gems into spell power. Spell power that they can use to make struddles for the entire raid. Yum! Aside from bringing the pain and the Le Pain, they can focus magic and intellect buff the raid. Maybe sometimes you will be asked to use your dampen or amplify magic, but aside from that, you literally have zero responsibility. Just the way the mage likes it. So, did you enjoy the list? Subscribe for more like them, and in terms of helping my channel grow, the best thing you can do is just watch. That is what makes me and the advertisers most happy. But that's all for today, and I'll see you guys again soon. For now though, just stay beautiful.